George Shamoun, and in this live presentation, after a few minutes, I'm gonna go over making a box in HTML, CSS, like the title says, and I'm gonna give it a style using CSS. So basically, it's gonna be the one of my first examples in HTML5 and CSS3, and I'm gonna be using Visual Studio Code. What happened, I was trying to do that yesterday, and it looks like I mistyped one letter in the one of the lines on the top of the web page in a code, and things didn't work, and I didn't even know why, because I went through the code, everything was correct, but in one place in a style sheet, instead of adding in a link tag, um, REL equal double quotation style sheet, I added REF. So this one letter caused nothing to work with me. So I just looked at it today and figured it out. So in a couple minutes, I'm gonna jump to my computer and show you how to do that. So basically, I'm gonna be doing creating a simple web page. It has the extension .html, and then I'm gonna create a simple style sheet. It's gonna have the extension .css, and then I'm gonna link the style sheet. I'm gonna link the HTML to the style sheet, and that will be done in the between the head tags of the index page, and then I'm gonna style it. So it's gonna be a simple box or rectangle, if you wanna call it that, and then I'm gonna give it a border, and I'm gonna style the border, give it a color, a thickness, and what type. Is it gonna be a dashed border, dotted? It's gonna be solid. And then inside the box, I might write a simple sentence and give it a color, and then I'm gonna give the box a background color. So this is what I was trying to do yesterday, and everything was correct, the whole code, and even though it's a simple one, but that's the only problem I had. It's a letter that yeah, instead of REL, I had REF. So I figured it out today. So I figured I'll do it. I'll do that in few minutes. I just want to make sure somebody is coming in on this live, because I don't have anybody yet. I just started now, so I want to make sure somebody is watching in case you have any questions about the code I'm gonna type. And this is gonna be a very simple. Very simple example in HTML, CSS, and this is how you start. This is how you start learning how to code. And myself, I'm starting with using web page coding, starting with HTML, CSS, and now I'm learning some JavaScript. This is my favorite way and the easiest way for anybody to get into the technology, or you want to expand your skills. It's very important, and I mean, you have to like it. Myself, I'm trying to improve my skills. This is why I'm starting, because I use software just like anybody else, and especially at work, at my full-time job, I use a lot of software, but I like to get into coding, programming, and this is the second step, after using the computer and the software as an end user. You go up one level and you start coding. And now, since I wasn't a computer science student, or I don't understand a lot of programming language, it's very difficult. So this is, the second step up in the technology, using HTML, CSS to make codes, to build websites. So this is what I'm doing, and starting with HTML, CSS. So now if you have any questions, please, I see people coming in. Make sure you let me know where you're tuning in from. If you're tuning in the US, what state are you coming from? If you're overseas, what country are you coming from? My name is George Shamoun, and I'm coming to you live from the US state of South Dakota. It's in the Midwest of the United States. So, and now it's Saturday, I think it's July 20th, and the time is 10:38 my time. Yeah, let me know if you have any question about the coding. I'm gonna jump in a couple minutes just to make sure more people are coming in to watch this live coding example, and this will help you if you're starting new. You know, if you're already building a website, making web pages or programming, you might be familiar with this. Even if you are a high school student, or you went through high school, sometimes they give you, HTML, CSS, and how to. Basically, this is what I'm doing, and then later on, I'm gonna be jumping to start learning JavaScript. JavaScript is very important. You know, it does. It helps with the. I mean, it does the interactivity on a page. So basically, HTML, it's the markup language. Some people call them programming. They're not programming languages. The HTML5 is a structure, is a markup language. What it does, it takes care of structuring the elements on a web page. So, and the CSS is for styling. It does the styling, like the color, the shape, and so on. You know, without CSS, you're not gonna have any style for an element on a web page. And then you have the JavaScript. It takes care of the interactivity on a web page. For example, if you click this button, what happens? If you hover over a box, what's gonna happen? These are examples of JavaScript. But you know, I realized later on that you can do a lot with the HTML, CSS. You can do like if you use the hover effect, when you move the mouse over a box, you can have the box rotate without using JavaScript. So you can do a lot. Sometimes JavaScript is overqualified with what you are doing. So, okay, let me see what's, there's some notes here. Hi guys, welcome. I'm glad you're tuning in. Thank you so much. Okay, please tell me what's the lesson. And it says, I'm confused. Hi. Yeah, hi everybody. We have Tommy Tomato. We have B the Unknown. We have Logan, Kifi. Welcome, guys. Thank you for tuning in. So I'm talking about HTML, CSS, how to make a simple web page. And I was trying to do that yesterday, but the example did not work for me. And there was a minor mistake. It was one typo that didn't let the code work. And I'm gonna do it now on my computer, but just hang out a few minutes. I need to have more people coming in so I can show you how to do the, so basically what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna create a box in HTML and give it a style. And then I'm gonna color the box. I'm gonna give it a border, and I'm gonna style the border. I'm gonna give it a background color. So it's gonna be basically, to sum it up, HTML, CSS example. It's gonna be a very simple one. I'm gonna do it in a couple of minutes. But guys, make sure you submit your questions if you have, and comments. If you have any questions about what I'm gonna be doing about coding using HTML, CSS, and the software I'm gonna be using is Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is one of the best code editors. So to create codes on your machine or online, you need a code editor. You know, that's how you create a code, how you edit a code, how you delete a code, and so on. So I am Filipino. Welcome. My head burst. Okay. Please tell me what's in a lesson. Okay, so anybody have a question, let me know. I'm gonna jump to my computer now, and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna be switching the screen back and forth between my face and the computer screen. So let's look at the computer screen now. And this is Visual Studio Code. And I'm gonna be using the live server here, and I will explain in 1 second what's the live server. So this is Visual Studio Code, and I created two empty files, this one here and this one here. This is when you create a web page, you need the HTML.html page, you know, and then you add your code here, the elements, and then you need the CSS page or file here, .css. So you can style the element you're adding to the HTML. So now, the first thing you can do with the HTML, you can add a boilerplate. So what's a boilerplate? A boilerplate is the few lines on the top that should be on every web page, and you don't have to create them, add them every time. So Visual Studio Code has an extension which is called Emmet, and Emmet is an extension that complete the code as you abbreviate it. So if you type some abbreviation, it will help you like autocomplete, So I'm gonna show you now. So first, you start with the HTML document, and first we're gonna type the boilerplate. And the way you do it is you add shift, you enter shift on your computer here on this shift, and then you go up to the exclamation mark, shift exclamation mark, and you can see this on your screen. And what you do, you just click on it, and it's gonna generate those 5 lines here. And those are essential for every web page. Like if you look on the top, it says doc type HTML. So this will give the browser the information about the web page. And then if you look here, it says language equal EN. You can change this if your language is different from the English language. And then the system will use the UTF-8. This is the character set the system will use. And then you have the meta name, such and such. This is for, I think, for the laptop, for the mobile. And then you have the head here. Between the head, whatever you have between the head tags, it's gonna be, it won't be seen on your web page when you look at it. It's for the computer, for the browser. So let's see, and let's see. Okay, so this title here, the title will be, okay, let me talk about a live server. So when you create a web page, and let me turn this 1 second. When you create a web page like coding, like what I'm doing now, you upload it to your website. It has to reside on a web server on the internet, so you can access it, and it will show you the content. Now, if you're making codes on your computer, like now, what I'm doing now, what you can do is is use Live Server, which is an extension in Visual Studio Code. And the Live Server, what it does, it show you how the code will look like as if it was on the internet. So basically, you right-click it. Let me show you. You right-click the page here, and you click on this one here, open with Live Server. Once you click it, the system is gonna start with a web browser window or page here, and it's gonna be that's what you call Live Server, which is this one here. And this Live Server, it's a web page on your computer. It's not on the internet. It's not living on the internet. And as you create the codes here, it's gonna show up here instantaneously because it's live. So let me show you here. So we can, as I said, we can create a box. So I'm gonna come here, and usually you use when you start, you're gonna be using the div. Div is a container basically, because HTML elements on a web page are in containers and boxes. So the first one, this one is the title. That will appear here on the top where it says document. Basically, every time you get to a web page, you can see a title here. It tells you about the web page, and this is what it is. It's called the title tag. So I'm gonna type here my first example, and you can see it here updating. So this is my first example in in HTML, or let's say in a web page, to make example first web page. So this is my first web page example. And if you notice, this title, it's gonna be here, and it shows here in the browser, in your on a live server. Okay, so now let's go to the body tag. Between the body tags, and by the way, those are called tags in HTML, CSS, and this one is the body tag here. Whatever you type and add codes here, it's gonna appear in the middle of the page here. You can see it. What you have between the head tags it's not gonna show up here. So let's say I'm gonna create a box. So we're gonna start with a div, which is a container that contains an element. So what you do, div, and you close the bracket, and the system will generate the closing tag. So basically you have an open tag, it looks like this, the div, and the closing tag, it's the same one, but it has forward slash. So what you do now, you hit enter, and you enter between them what you wanna, so I'm gonna be entering, an information about the box. Let's say I'm gonna type, this is a box one. Okay, this is a box one. So then it's gonna appear here if you see it. So it's gonna appear as a sentence. We haven't used any styling yet. And what I'm gonna do, we give the div a class. We can use a class or an ID. So I'm gonna give it an ID, and that's the format, ID equal, and you enter between double quotation the ID of the box, so you can target it using the HTML, CSS. So in this case, I'm gonna call it box one. Okay, so, and once I start styling it, I'm gonna use the ID box one in the CSS. So now what we gonna do, it didn't do anything yet. So we have to we have to link the HTML document to the CSS. So what we do, we add a line here in between the HTML, between the head tags, enter, and it's gonna be link. So it's gonna be the link tag, and inside the link tag, we can add some information here that links the HTML to the CSS, so we can target the element. So first, it's gonna be rel. These are standard, they remain the same. Rel equal, and then between double quotation, we can add style sheet, and this will be the same every time you're gonna use it on a web page. And then you're gonna write type here, that's the other property, type equal double quotation, and then it's gonna be text / CSS, and then space, and now we're gonna use the href to reference the style sheet, and then we can add this one here, the CSS file. This CSS file, we can add it. So 2024 space href. Oh, okay, href. It should be href, and then 2024. And then we can add the style sheet, which ends with the CSS element here, extension. So now what I did, I linked the HTML to the CSS. Now when I start styling here, it's gonna show up on the HTML web page here, but I haven't done anything yet. So guys, if you're tuning in on this live stream, I want to thank you so much. And what we're doing here, I'm creating a simple HTML CSS example to show you how it looks like using Visual Studio Code, which is a code editor. And I'm coming to you live now from the US state of South Dakota. My name is George Shamoun. And if you have any questions, please submit them on a comment, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. This way I make more videos, and give me more ideas. So let's see. So, okay. So, do you have any questions about what I'm explaining here? Let me know, please. And make sure you submit your comments, and let me know what you like to learn in the future about the videos I'm making. So let's go back to the web page now. I'm coding. And again, this is the HTML and CSS example. And if you look here, this is the web browser, which is the live server. And this is the code, and I'm gonna style it now. So what I'm gonna do here, so if you notice, without using CSS, you're gonna have a very boring web page. It doesn't have colors, it doesn't have style, it doesn't have anything. So let me start styling this code here. So okay, so let's see, I wanna give it a border. I wanna give it a border, and what I do here, first I wanna target it, and the way you target an element in CSS and HTML, if you look here, it has the ID box 1, and this is what I use. I go to CSS, and what I add here, I add hashtag box 1, and then what I do, I open those braces, and then I start whatever I want to style the box, I'm gonna add it here. So let's say I want the text color to be blue. So I type color colon blue, color colon blue, and then I add a semicolon here. And this is called the declaration, and this is the property, and this is the value of the property in CSS. So if you look here, it turned blue. So because I tagged it and I added the color equal blue, and this declaration inside the box, it shows you it's a blue. Now I'm gonna draw, I'm gonna add, a yellow background to it. So what I do, I go to the code here, and I hit enter, right? And I enter background color. Let's say I want it to be yellow, and I hit yellow, and if you notice, it turned yellow, the background turned yellow. This is why it's called live server. It means every time you change the code, it's gonna update automatically here. And this extension is called live server. What it does, it produces the output of the code on the screen here without uploading it to a website or a web server. So now let's give it, so we gave it a color, and then we gave it the yellow background. Now we can give it a border. So if you notice, it doesn't have a border. I want to add a border to it. So the way I use a border in CSS, I type border colon, and then you type the thickness. Let's say I want the thickness, the width of the border to be 10 pixels. So 10 pixel space, I want it to be black in color. I add black without any colon or commas. And space, I add the style. When you create a border, you want to add the style, which is dash, dot, or solid. In this case, I'm gonna give it a dotted style, so it's gonna be dots around it. And then you can type a semicolon. And if you notice, that's what's the code produce. So if you notice, this is the box, and it has dotted lines around it. This is the border, and I have a sentence inside. and I have the background as yellow. So now I can style more, I can give it more style to this box. So I want to show you that how important is CSS. Without CSS, this is HTML here. So you have the box. It's very simple, and that's all what it shows on a web page. But when I added the cascading style sheet here, this code, it gave it color and live, it changed, so it's different now. Now I'm gonna make it farther from the top, so it looks like it's right on a corner of the web page. So I'm gonna push it down and push it from the left side here. So what we do, we use the declaration margin. So if you go down here and I add margin, so I'm gonna give it margin top. So the margin top here will make it, will give it a distance between the top of the browser and the box. So I'm gonna give it, let's say 100 pixel, and it's gonna move now. If you look at it, it's gonna move down. So 100. So if you notice, it moved down because I added a pixel, the distance here. Now I'm gonna move it from the left side. I want to give it a distance here because it's very close to the edge of the browser. So what I do, I give it a margin left. So margin left, it means you're specifying the left margin here of this box. So let's give it 50 pixel and watch how it's gonna move now. Pixel. So you see this distance now. So basically, this is how you style a simple element. And it looks like it's still close to the border here on the right side. I can give it another, another margin right. Let's give it 50 pixel. So watch it how it's gonna move now. PX. You see how it gave it some distance. This way, it doesn't touch the edge of the browser, So if you expand the browser and it's not gonna be touching it anymore. So guys, if you have any questions, submit them in a comment. And I want to thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning into this live stream. My name is George Shamoun, and I'm showing you how to use HTML, CSS in a simple coding example. And in this example, we made a small box and we gave it some style. Basically, you use HTML and CSS, and this is how you do it. This is a very basic example about HTML, CSS, and I'm using a Visual Studio Code. It's a code editor because whenever you create codes on your screen about and making web pages, you have to use a code editor. And in this case, I'm using the one of the most prevalent code editors. It's called Visual Studio Code, and it's for free. You can use it on Linux, Windows, and Mac. It's a free software. You can download it for free, and you can learn on your own code if you want, just like what I'm doing now. There are a lot of tutorials on the internet, on YouTube. You can buy a book, you can join a course. So this is what I did before, and I'm still doing it now. I joined courses, I look at tutorials, I have books, but you don't need those. Just look on the internet and, see examples like these. If you have any questions, please submit them in a comment box so I can answer you now on this live stream. And let me know where you're tuning in from. And if you're in the US, let me know what state are you tuning in from. If you're overseas, what country are you from? And if you're interested in examples like these and tutorials about coding, or you're interested to know about other software I have on my channel, I make other software too, other examples, other tutorials. But now in 2024, I'm focusing on creating websites and web pages and using codes, HTML, CSS, and the JavaScript in the near future, So, and I intend to make websites. So let me know if you have any questions about making a web page, making websites, so, and using Visual Studio Code to make codes. And also make sure you submit your questions if you have any questions about this code that I wrote now on the screen, in Visual Studio Code. Again, this is the HTML box. It's very simple one, and I'm giving you an example here about a box that I styled it. And this is the CSS file. This will give this gave the style, like the color, the border, everything for this box here. So basically, HTML and CSS, they go hand in hand. So you have to use both whenever you're creating a web page. So guys, if you have any questions, please let me know. Submit it in a comment so I can answer you on this live now. This is George Shamon, and I'm coming to you live from the U.S. state of South Dakota, and I'm making a coding example using HTML, CSS in Visual Studio Code, which is a website web code editor. And let me know if you have any questions. So yeah, basically you can use those to make simple web pages and edit codes. And even if you have a website, you might want to edit it, you know. So that's what it is. Any questions? Anybody have any questions? Submit them in a comment. And I want to thank you, whether you're on this live stream now or you'll be tuning in the future on a replay. Thank you so much for tuning in. Your attention and your time is very valuable to me. It's very important too, you know. So make sure you submit your questions so I can help you, and give me any ideas about future coding example or other software so I can make more, you know, or you know, I have lot of videos on my channel, about over 200 videos. I've talked about a lot about coding, HTML, CSS, about domain name, web hosting. I talk a lot about Linux commands, how to use Linux commands. Linux is very important to learn. You know, it's a great skill too, because most servers on the internet and on the networks are running Linux operating system. So it's very important, you know. So again, let me show. I don't know if I typed my website. Check out my website. I made a website. It's very simple. You know, anybody can do it using you know, a website builder in a self-hosted service. It's called Hostinger, and I have an affiliate with them, but I don't have the link in a bottom, you know. So yeah, and you can make a website. You don't even have to use codes. You know, there is, you know, you can use website builders. There are a lot of website builders where you can use drag and drop. You know, you have, once you log in into your web hosting account, on the left side it says build a website, and then you can start the, you know, bring in elements on your web page, and you release them, and you can style them, you know, using the GUI interface. You don't have to use codes, and even though you have the capability on those to add codes, a lot of website builders, they let you add codes, you know. And so this is if you have any questions, submit it in a comment, and let me know what you're interested to learn about, whether you like to know about HTML, CSS, JavaScript. I don't claim to be an expert, but I've been doing that. I've been learning it for the last 2 years, and I'm getting a better grip on it. So especially HTML, CSS, and the JavaScript. I started with the JavaScript not too long ago. So I made, I think, couple tutorials here about JavaScript, but I'll be making more. So, but I need to know what you're interested to learn about. So make sure you add your comments or request in the chat box, or you can also email me or send me a message using my contact form on a website here. Let me add it in the description. Let me see. Let me add my website here. So what you can do, this is my website. If you want to contact me, I'm gonna add it in a chat, and later on I'll add it in a comment box, you know. So this is my website in case you wanna connect with me, or if you like to send me a message. Go to my web page here, the main web page, and you can jump to the contact to the about, to the contact here. Let me show you. Switch this screen. So this is my website. You can go to the contact form here, the contact form, and you can fill it out and send me a message if you have any questions. If you want to be, you don't want it to add it in a main chat now, you can, and I get it to my private email, and I will answer you as soon as I can. So yeah, in case you want to know about building a website, this is my website. You can build one like this. It's a very simple one, but it's easy. I didn't use codes. You can use a website builder, like I said, with drag and drop. So yeah, it's georgekcwebservices.com. So I don't know, I'm gonna have to add it here in the description. So anybody else have a questions? Please, if you have a question, submit it in a comment. And thank you for tuning in. And whether you're on this live stream now, or you're gonna be tuning in the future on this replay, make sure you add a comment, ask me questions. And if you're interested to send me a message, use my website. I enter the URL in the chat box, and I will enter it in a comment box later on. Just go to the contact form and fill it out and send me a message. This way you'll send it to me privately, and to my private email, and I will answer you. So do you have any questions? Anybody have any question about coding, HTML, CSS, or how to learn coding, how to make a simple website like the one I showed you now? Let me know in a comment box. So anybody else have a question? Guys, let me know where you were tuning in from. I'm very interested to know if you are in the US here, in what state are you tuning in from? And if you are overseas, let me know where you're tuning in from, what country you know. So again, let me show you. I'm using Visual Studio Code for code editing. It's right here. It's and I'm using Linux on this computer, Linux 22.04. And this is the sign of the Visual Studio Codes. This one here, this is the sign. This one, it says Visual Studio Code, and this is what I'm using now. And it's very important and very, it's not that complicated. In the beginning, it looks like a bit difficult, but once you start using it, because you're not going to use all options in it, just use it for simple coding examples you're using. So yeah, anybody else have a question? Let me know in a box below. If yeah, so yeah, this is again George Shamoun, and I went through a coding example yesterday, but it didn't go well because I typed one letter instead of typing, like I said in the beginning of this video, instead of REL, I typed REF. So it's one letter that makes a big difference, and it disturbed the whole code, and I wasn't able to create the code, and some people were watching. But I did it again now, because after I made the change to that typo, it's amazing if you're using codes. And I'm not going to talk about other programming language. I can talk about the this one here, HTML, CSS, the one I'm using now. Sometimes one letter in a code will make a big difference, and it will not work, for you. So you have to be very careful in a format. And some formats, some codes are not forgiven. You make a mistake, and the whole thing is gone. It doesn't work. Guys, let me know if you have any questions about. I'm talking about an example I made using Visual Studio Code. It's an HTML, CSS, making a small box on a web page and give it a style using CSS styling. And I connected the style sheet as an external to the HTML document. Let me know if you have any question, and I can answer you on this live stream now. And I can jump to my computer now, and will do a search on topics you're interested to learn about. My name is George Shamoun, and I want to thank you so much for tuning in this Saturday, July 20th, 2024. And whether you're on this live stream now or on a replay, I value your opinion, your time, and your attention. And make sure you let me know where you're tuning in from, or if you have any questions, submit it in the comments so I can answer you right now. On this channel, I talk about coding because I'm learning it myself. I've been doing that for the last 2 years. I have a good grip on HTML, CSS. Now I started recently with the JavaScript. In my eyes and in my opinion, it's very important to keep adding and expanding your skills. And to expand my skills, I decided to learn web development and web design, because I use computers at work as an end user to do certain functions, but I never did any coding before. So 2 years ago, I started to learn coding, and now I'm making, tutorials on YouTube, and I make simple websites, and I'm gonna start soon freelancing, making websites for individuals, for small businesses, like a one-person business. If you are a coach or a service provider and you're looking for a website, I can make you one, So, but also I can help you if you're interested to do it yourself, build a website. You can submit your questions and your comments, and I will answer you. And also, I gave you my website. Jump on it and send me a text, send me a contact form, fill it out, and send me a message if you're interested to chat privately or connect with me, So, and make sure you let me know if you have any questions now on this live stream, or even if you're tuning in on a replay in the future. I want to thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe to the channel too, because I'm trying to grow it. And as I grow it, I'll create more videos and to help you. And make sure you let me know what topics you're interested to learn about concerning coding, making websites, web pages, and other software I use on my channel. And you can check my YouTube channel here. I have a lot of videos. I have over 200 videos. Some of them are for Linux commands. Some of them are using Inkscape for making SVG files. Some of them are for GIMP, I think. And yeah, I have different, a variety of topics on my channel. But now I'm going to be focusing on making web pages and codes, So anybody else have a question? Who else? Who else have a question? Guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you help me. You can help me grow it, and I'll make more videos. So anybody else have a question? Yeah, I don't see anybody submitting any comments or any questions. So if you're interested to learn about other topics, let me know besides HTML, CSS, about. I make software tutorials on my channel about different topics, but I'm trying to narrow it down to web pages now, making websites, web pages, because I want to offer this service. So, yeah, make sure you let me know where you're tuning in from, and if you have any questions. I see your questions immediately, and anybody else? Anybody else have a question about coding? We're talking about coding HTML, CSS. It's simple, but you gotta put effort. For me, I didn't find it easy. I had to put a lot of effort in the last 2 years to learn it, and HTML, CSS, and I'm starting recently. I'm gonna be starting with the JavaScript. That's an important. And those you can use to make simple changes on websites. You don't have to start a website or a web page from scratch. You can use codes, and there are a lot of website builders and software and SaaS that you don't have to use coding only, but it's good to know how the web works, how a web page is built, is, how is the structure of a web page, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, what they do. It's good to know the basics, but you don't have to build anything from scratch. Nowadays, you have a lot of software as a service and a platform online, and even on your local computer, there are a lot of free software, like just like I showed you now, Visual Studio Code, which is free. You can use it whether you have a Linux computer, whether you have Windows, whether you have a Mac, you can run Linux. You can run Visual Studio Code, and it's a free software. So you got all the tools to learn how to code or make web pages and websites if you want to DIY it yourself. But you don't have to. There are a lot of software like website builders. Like Squarespace, Weebly, Wix, even nowadays self-hosted websites like Hostinger. That's the one I'm using now, and I have my website is built on Hostinger. It's a web hosting company. It's called self-hosted. It means you can move your website around to other web hosting. This is one of the advantages, but it's not all in one platform. I don't recommend it much for beginners. It's very cheap, but once you start connecting like online shops and links, it becomes hairy and kind of complicated. And it's very cheap, for somebody new who wanna get used to building websites, simple ones, without selling anything like contact form, a brochure website, or portfolio. Those are good ones, and I made one not too long ago. If you notice in a chat, I added my URL. This is my website that I used using a website builder. It's not built from scratch. It's a very simple one, just to get the message across. And but in the future, I intend to use other ones like Squarespace, because I've been looking at Squarespace and Weebly and Wix and those guys, and Shopify too. It's one of the best for e-commerce. Those platforms, they're called the hosted websites or hosted platform. Basically, they're all in one platform. You got everything there. They're more expensive if you're serious about your business and your presence online. They're more expensive, but they give you a lot, and the integration are easier with third party because everything is done on the same platform. Like from what I hear, Shopify has that, but they're expensive. That's the problem. You cannot afford every one of them. A happy medium, something in the middle between self-hosted and Shopify are Wix, Weebly, and Squarespace. Squarespace is a great platform. I haven't used it yet, but I've been reading about them a lot, and I'm thinking to move my website to Squarespace. So yeah, and I'm not affiliated with them. I'm talking about them, but I don't have any links or affiliate on about them. I'm just affiliated with Hostinger, but I don't have any links. I'm not trying to sell on this live chat now. So who else? Anybody else have a question about making a website, building a web page? Let me know. Submit your question in a comment, and I will answer you right now. And if if you're not on the live stream right now, I can answer you in the future. Make sure you submit your questions. If you're on a replay. So I don't see anybody entering any questions or any comments or any requests. So it looks like that's all what I have for this live stream. That's all. I don't have anything else. I'm just waiting a few minutes for your questions. If you have any questions, I will help you here. Answer you. But everything else is done for me for this example. As I showed you, I built the box in HTML, and we gave it the style using the CSS. So yeah, and make sure if you're interested in this kind of topic, make sure you subscribe so you won't miss any future updates and future videos like this. I start to make more live streams like this one, because it's easier to connect with people, and quickly I can answer, and it's easier when it comes to video editing, because I'm not good when it comes to video editing, I'm gonna learn it, but I'm too busy now. So yeah. Anybody else have a question? Okay, no more questions. I want to thank you so much for tuning in, or if you will be on a replay watching this video. Uh, Make sure you submit your questions in the or comments, like I said before, so I can help you. I can answer you. And feel free to go to my website. I will add it in the comment box too, because uh, the chat may disappear later on. So I will add the website in case you want to send me, you have any questions, you want to contact me, you can fill out the contact form and send me a message. And you can also add a comment here. I'll be checking within the next couple days the channel here. I mean, I always check it, but to get your message, I have to check it before 2 days. So again, my name is George Shamon, and I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day, great afternoon, or a great evening. It depends when you are in this world. Thank you.